Okay, so I'm calling this meeting of the Rappahannock County Board of Zoning Appeals to order. The first item is the roll call, which I don't see on here, but we could.
You know it by heart.
I could call roll. Chris Bird.
Here.
David Connick, Alex Sharp on here, Jennifer Matthews is here. Michelle Summers is here. Bill Anderson is not.
Well, what's going on with him?
He's talking about submitting something soon, so he hasn't submitted it yet.
Oh, well,
But probably by next meeting.
When is his term?
same as yours, 2020.
Yeah, that's what he indicated was, because I was trying to find out if it, hadn't ended already.
Oh, no.
Or was soon. So 2020.
Somehow something got all kind of loused up because it's supposed to be staggered, so there's one each year. And sometime after I got on, they looked at it and I don't know, I mean, Jennifer's term had already been up for about 2 years.
But yours.
No.
And then you got reappointed, and then about 6 months later in the fall, you and Chris and Bill, your terms were all up, and I don't know why, I guess it just, but they weren't
Just put them
staggered.
all together.
So I mean, the way it is now, I mean, I don't know how
Well, it
exactly.
probably isn't a bad idea to have them staggered, really.
Well, I think it's a good idea
So-
to have them staggered.
So we could potentially figure out a way to go back to that. But anyway, not tonight though.
Right.
We have to wait for
It
someone
hasn't
to
been
expire.
properly introduced. The staggering.
Well, it's not up to us, it's up to Judge Parker.
And it's possible whoever, if Bill does actually resign, whoever fills that position could potentially, they would
I
start.
think it would be a good idea. Right.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway, we'll cross that. bridge.
Okay, so next is review and adoption of the agenda. Are there any changes or?
What's on?
Well, it's mainly the minutes. Did you get a copy? Do you have?
He's got a copy.
Oh,
Okay,
this?
yeah, you should have a copy.
Oh, look, good, it's under this stuff.
See?
Gotcha.
See, we're so
Wait a
organized.
minute. Scary.
And I have the detailed one, but basically, it's the minutes from multiple minutes.
No public comment period?
We haven't.
Good, because there's no one here.
Yeah, or we could have it and just how would we know when it was over, right?
Okay.
It's
It's up to you.
And then there's the discussion of secretary to the BZA, so I'm not sure where
You
we're
get
on that.
fired already?
No, I mean, this is the first time, so,
Oh.
so.
Thought we did all
And
that.
then this family apartment, so is it anything else additional?
I would like to just put one thing on about, and I don't know if we have to put it on the agenda or not, but to just have a little discussion with Michelle about, like, the follow-up. What's there about the follow-up on special use permits? I brought to your all's attention this one. And in the intervening period, someone else brought to my attention some other permit that we granted, when we have conditions on it, or like when, they're supposed to do it within 1 year. And to my knowledge, nobody really follows up on that.
Or even to do a review?
Or the
sometime.
ones that are set for review, like there's been a whole bunch of tourist homes that have been done, and they got a 2-year
Yeah,
review
they had
period.
a 2-year review period, so,
And right, and then, but I don't know I don't know what they've got in the zoning office now, whether there's a calendar or something to trigger all
Did
that.
John have an Outlook program that he set a,
How does she know what's wrong?
well, I didn't know if maybe you had.
No. What I need to do is go back through the files and pull those and scan them, and then I can keep a tracking list.
right, because it's
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
a
Because,
ticket
I mean,
list.
well, obviously, some of these, the reason it came to mind was some of the ones that are in these minutes are tourist homes that have a 2-year sort of review period.
Mhm.
And they were 2 years ago.
Well,
And,
no,
and
they're
then,
not.
well, and the other thing was that neighbors, if that if there was any problems, the neighbors should be able to come in within 2 years and say,
Right, exactly. So that's
it's
one
been
thing.
noisy.
And then there was just that other one that I guess is sort of resolved, at least waits until May, of did they get the health approvals that they needed? And it seems like, well, maybe there's some other things, but just some of this police and some of these,
So what's the system? Or
yeah,
is there a system?
what's in place, because maybe, I think it needs some attention.
I don't know that there's anything in place, but there will be something in place.
Okay. well,
Yeah, and I was thinking, I think that John had maybe some type of Outlook program, and he would enter into it like 2 years from now. some
He
reminder.
had some,
It would
it's called a
pop up.
tickler system,
So
where
I-
it would,
yeah.
you know, so he would know
Yeah,
that
I
3
mean, I'm
months
pretty
before it was to come up again, and he would.
Yeah, because it would pop up
Right.
in his computer and remind him, and then he'd.
Right, but I have a feeling that didn't get
Right,
passed
no,
on or
I agree.
passed down or passed out.
Okay, so that might be something that could be
I'll take
figured
care
out.
of it and I'll
Yeah.
email
Okay.
you all.
And the other thing is, well, I don't know, I know Michelle did those revised forms but then she
We
just
don't
sent them
have
out and then I had some feedback and I had some, I just thought it'd be easier to do it face to face. But I didn't bring them tonight, it's not on the agenda, but can we put that on for
You know,
next month?
These
No, you're
forms,
talking about review of the permit.
Yeah, she did.
The application.
Right.
because there's a special exception permit and special
Variance
use.
one.
So she's gonna put it on next.
The
For the
application,
agenda, then we'll go over them, everybody can, I mean, I don't know if anybody besides me put in any comments, they didn't copy them to me if they had any.
I'll scan them and share
So-
them back out and we'll have it on the agenda for next.
Okay,
yeah,
Great.
right,
Okay,
okay.
okay, does that, so really we've gotten this fast with the
Well,
money.
so that's that, those two things, right.
Okay,
Well, one of the things was it gonna be Alex or Chris was gonna kind of coordinate a little bit with any of these that also go before the planning commission? So that it's the right amount of information both for us as for the planning commission, remember? Comment about that?
yeah, I think maybe you were gonna talk to someone there, to the planning commission.
Or-
Maybe we can do that. Are they gonna have a meeting next month? In January? Oh, that's right.
Because they canceled
Right.
December, correct?
Was that for
They
lack
did
of a
cancel.
quorum?
Lack of
Oh, okay.
sir.
Okay, so,
So they,
then will you review these and then, Pat, I don't know if it was to be with Gary Settle or who it was supposed to be with?
Well, I think because if we're gonna, I mean, really, it's an application to us, so it's nice if they wanna comment on it, but maybe the thing to do is for Michelle to send it to the planning commission
oh, just
and
as a
say,
courtesy.
here they are.
This is what we're working
If
on.
you, I mean, send it to all the members, say, you know, the BZA is gonna bring this up, well, I guess our meeting will be right after theirs, but do it like sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I already
And
sent
see,
them a copy.
and you know, if they have comments, great, if they don't.
So it could even be on their agenda, just a brief
Right.
mention.
I forgot.
Sure.
Information.
And maybe the board of supervisors, although their agenda, I think, is done now, but for January.
Yeah, I'd say the planning commission if they have any comments, and if they don't, it'll be a
Right.
short item. Okay.
Okay.
So it looks like
And
initially.
one other thing, I just to report, the judge entered this decree in the, whatever, the appeal case, so it's dismissed as of.
Which appeal?
With the BCA.
Oh,
and
okay.
the-
Oh, so that's gone.
So that's done.
Okay.
And Art's got a copy of it, he can, I mean, if you want to look at it, I've got my copy.
What is this one?
It's about the resolution that we agreed upon.
Last December's resolution.
Yeah, so,
So it's dismissed.
just me.
We need a
And he
motion.
approved the settlement on what?
We have not had our full motion.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do I hear a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
All right, the minutes,
All right. the
Okay,
minutes.
so we have a slew of minutes, and I did not print all of them out. I did,
Don't know.
Michelle agreed to print these out, and I put question marks there. You were supposed to notice that, and ask,
I
but you didn't. That's okay.
I didn't
I was
see
saying how.
I thought we had all these ones go all the way back to March of
Yes.
2016.
Yes, I didn't. I reviewed those, but that's the list, or here is the list. This is the latest one right
Right.
here.
Okay.
But then these others, I did get her to print all of them out. I figured,
Oh, I see. They are there, they're just not in order. Okay.
yeah. I guess it's because
These
of the
minutes
name.
were from the last meeting that we
Where-
presented.
well, why don't we do last meeting, this is the 25th,
Oh, okay. Great.
and then we can talk about the
Well,
others.
that's one I didn't bring mine from last.
I mean, this is all, it says this is this for you. I mean, I read them, I felt like they were pretty representative.
There was a typo, and that was it, but I already told her what the typo was.
And then Michelle added,
Heard it, yeah. Okay, so have you got mine in the format that you can do? You do, okay.
And
I don't
you
know if I
did
send them
this-
out PDF or whatever.
okay, put the brand on the top, the logo.
No, but I can.
Oh, I don't know.
No, because they're one in the book,
Okay.
and that's sort of my comment about some of these others.
And I think we need to put recording secretary, David Connick,
What's the difference?
there, recording.
I don't care. Just don't call me late for dinner. What, so there's one typo and that's it?
Yes,
so-
it's a typo of deletions up front and then recording,
Typo of deletions?
Oh, it's too many T's.
the T.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All right, so you're gonna do that?
And
you mean
what's
make
L
the
stand
change?
for?
Lee,
L-E-I-G-H?
Leah.
L-E-A. Leah, almost.
What
Leah.
is L? And
Leo.
your middle name?
Lewis.
Lewis. Okay. Do we have anything related to what Jennifer was asking about?
What was she asking about?
What did you want?
Oh,
Recording?
recording.
I just said recording secretary.
Does that seem reasonable?
It's not gonna fit in here.
Oh.
Then
Is
I,
that- And then with the typo and then that, does everybody agree to add recording secretary or not?
I'm staying.
You'll abstain because you're the victim. Okay,
We can have that.
add that, okay. Okay, well, I guess we'll add it then.
then with those two changes.
Can you still vote for approving the minutes?
I guess so.
We can
Is it,
do them
so,
as circulated.
okay, is there
No,
a second
but
to
with the
that?
two changes.
Yep, I'll second it.
Okay,
Okay.
and further discussion?
Who made the motion?
I did.
Jennifer and then David second.
Sorry, you went too fast.
Okay, so
So
all,
now you're taking the minutes?
No, I just like to keep track of stuff.
Oh, good, well, that's
and do you
good,
have
so
a
you see how
recording? How are you taking the minutes? Oh, I see.
Then he goes to the video.
part of it goes into my brain
Well, what if
directly,
his TV blows up or something?
then we'll have to rely on my brain and the agenda.
And you are recording?
I am
this?
recording
Okay,
this.
so it is getting recorded. Okay.
So that way, if I
so
try to sneak anything in, you guys can.
did we vote? I guess we voted. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, now what?
Well, I guess we might as well do
The other minute?
the previous.
Good.
Now, I had gone through this, and I had helped Jennifer getting them together, so
Right.
I feel like I'd be open to hearing others.
Okay, well, I picked up some mistakes and little things, and I don't know. I guess some of it is formatting. I mean, I think, well, I'm on the March 23, so let's all get on the
I'm on
same.
March 23.
And that's
2016.
Okay.
Right. I mean, I think they should all have this format. I really don't think they should be on the, what do you call it? This,
You mean with the logo?
with the logo. I don't think we should have that logo, because they're going in the book. They're going in that notebook. I hope you didn't lose from last time you brought it.
No, didn't you bring it? I didn't bring it.
I didn't bring it back tonight.
No, but she's
Okay.
got it.
All right, great.
I think it,
I think it should just have, like this is, like minutes, da-da-da, and it goes, it's going in the book.
well, it still could have the logo. I vote we have the logo.
Okay, well, hold on. Well, let's hear the other ideas first.
Okay, so that's one thing. Second of all, I didn't understand like these indents. I mean, that's just sort of a formatting thing.
That just means that that applied to the paragraph above. We had talked about the applicant, Dr. Singh, and then it was the motion from Mr.
Do you think
Berger.
it's just a factor of the program that accidentally made an indent?
I don't know. I mean,
No,
if
no,
you did
it's-
that on purpose.
It's a hanging paragraph.
None of the other ones have it, so suddenly that.
Well, they should have a typical format, but it's not unusual to have.
Well, okay, but none of the other ones have that indent, that's what I was asking. Okay? So either way, it just ought to be consistent, and I'd say it shouldn't really be indented myself.
And it's in 2015 calendar year.
So then I had some substantive changes, and those are, if I can have it back for a sec, on page 2 of the, well, on page 1, the last paragraph where it says until the following month, it ought to say until the April meeting, not the following month.
Did it end up being? Or
I don't know, but the motion, I'm sure he didn't say until the following month, he said until next month, and it said
Until the
until
next
April.
meeting.
You should put the month in, and rather than the following month. should postpone the application until April 2016.
I do have a question, since you may have the answer to this. If you continue a
I don't see
meeting,
it. I don't
you
see that.
continue it to a specific date, typically, right?
You could do it either way.
So you could continue it to the
Could
next meeting?
continue it generally.
Oh, so you could skip?
Well, wait a minute, I think if you
I guess
continue
this
it,
is
no,
an
you
action
continue it, you
step
have to
down
put the
for
date in. If you
something.
table it, you can table it
Oh.
until somebody
Until it
goes to
comes up.
untable, until somebody
Okay.
moves to untable. Like Bill Fletcher's Carnival grounds got tabled by the planning commission, and so far, no one has ever moved to take it off the table.
But
So
in
it's
the
still
event
tabled.
that it is continued to a date, and then
Yeah.
for some reason you don't have a meeting on that date,
Right,
what happens?
I think you have to re-advertise it, and you
So
have
that
to
would be
move
a
to.
fail, so you really should have the meeting if you continue.
So
I'm just wondering how, okay,
Where is this thing that says to continue to the next date?
First page of March, at the very bottom, in the bold thing. You're like me, when it's
Until
in
the
bold,
until the following
it'd
month.
be until the April meeting.
Okay, April.
Okay, and then on the next page,
did it get continued to that?
I don't know, I don't have the April minutes
Oh,
already
they
got
were
approved,
done, okay.
because they're not
I
here.
have the April minutes.
Oh, well, oh wait, they are here.
So then it probably is here.
What is it? Which thing was it?
But this was the
Parma.
same,
Oh, Parma, then she withdrew it.
then she withdrew
Okay,
it.
so it didn't, okay.
So it never came up again, because she
Okay.
withdrew it.
Well, it was
There was
announced that it
application
has
has
been
resolved.
withdrawn.
Okay,
Okay, so now, back to page 2 of March. We're down here about 1, 2, 3, 4, fourth or fifth one. It says the BZA annual summary report for the 2000, it should be 15, not 16. Because these are the 2016 April minutes, so how could we be doing the one just for the previous year?
Right, and then we probably
that's a
should put
typo, I guess.
2015 report was approved.
you circled that.
Oh, yeah. Well, all right, you got that?
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay. The January minutes, it says were reviewed as amended, and I didn't understand what that meant, if they were amended.
Shouldn't
It
it
says
say
as
they were-
amended and reproved, how could we review them as, unless they were already?
They had been, I don't have them with me, but I think that we had changed something.
Oh, and so
then-
we were.
So we decided
I
not
see.
to approve them, we had to wait till
All right, I
a new
Well,
clean copy
okay.
came as
All
amended.
right, well then I want to say that, were reviewed as amended at the whatever meeting, must be February meeting,
Or previous.
or previous meeting. Then it says the February minutes were reviewed and approved. Okay,
So the 2016 minutes were reviewed,
no, where are you now?
well, right here,
Right up here?
right here.
The January, yeah, first put the month in, that would be a good idea. The January 2000 minutes
16 minutes were
were
reviewed
reviewed I think it
as
should be as corrected.
corrected,
There you
probably
go.
would be,
There you go.
Okay.
As corrected at the previous meeting and approved. There you go. Uh-oh, here they come.
Okay.
they
Good.
probably thought it was 7:30.
Okay.
I think that might be them. Guys are lucky we had all these minutes or we'd be gone. 'Cause we
Why, I thought it
started-
was supposed to start at 7:30.
Oh, no, we figured out that you figured that, but it started at 7.
Oh,
no.
We're
But
sorry.
We're doing something, so that's okay.
I thought the email said 7:30.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, that's about all I had there.
Now, is the format of this one okay?
Which is this one?
April.
Yeah,
What's the format for the
That's a
board of
reasonable
supervisors?
Oh, I think so. I mean, I think they all ought to be the same.
Good.
Yeah, I was just asking what the format for the board of supervisors or maybe even the planning
Like,
commission.
something like that.
So it's kind of, and those were perfect.
Why, you did these?
Yes, because I did that.
Yeah, these are perfect.
So we can skip. So,
No, actually, I
This
just,
is
not-
27th of April.
oh, you did?
no, wait, here's a here's a mistake.
This, Jennifer, may I
Okay.
just suggest at the top, that should be S apostrophe.
Yes,
Did I skip a line or something?
No,
okay.
you did something wrong here. Down on page, what page are we up to? 2. BZA rules of procedure, the next to last paragraph. It says, Mr. Connick moved to make a suggested changes to the ex parte rule seconded by Chris Bird. And then you didn't say that it was the vote, what the vote was, which as I recollect, it was unanimous in favor. And then there should be a new paragraph, the chair opened the public hearing.
Oh, so we should add the fact that it was,
I mean, I know, is there a vote coming up? Oh, I see, never mind, it's back there, I see, you opened a public hearing. I don't think it was a public hearing. Because we didn't have a public hearing on our rules, you just opened the floor for
but he
comment.
spoke about it.
Okay, but it wasn't a public hearing, that's what the mistake is. See, you have his comments, and then Jock Nash commented, and I called the question, and the
Don't you
motion
call it-
passed, so
don't
that's
you
So
call
fine.
it
I'm saying it's
the public
here,
hearing?
here.
Well, no, because that's not a public hearing. Well, no, because it wasn't a hearing, it was just public comment.
Okay, open for
For public
public
Yeah,
comment.
open the question
Then
to
make-
public comment or something like that.
Just
Okay.
make it-
Then it's okay, what I had the circles, I couldn't figure out where was the vote, but then I see what you did, okay, fine.
Okay,
So if you fix that, it's fine.
okay, so that's April of 16.
With those changes there, that's good. Adjournment, colon, what happened? You have minutes and then you have adjournment, colon.
Oh, maybe there was more to the minutes.
I don't think so, I think,
There's supposed to be a time.
well, a motion duly made and seconded, the meeting was adjourned.
You don't think it's possible we just got up and left?
No, we don't.
Okay.
All right, so fill
We
something,
could add,
make it a
we could add
time.
something about a motion being made and seconded.
The meeting was,
Generically, okay.
all right, so that's April, that's all.
So do we not have to?
Well, I just figured we do the whole pile and then
As-
just approve them all.
Okay,
That-
Okay,
so they're
You're
supposed to just typos.
And this
Okay,
is May.
May 2016. When you get down to page 2, next to last paragraph, when, I vaguely remember this, we were talking about something here, what were we talking about? Oh, dissenting opinions and such as all that. And it says, when the conversation became unproductive, the chair requested a vote to terminate the discussion. Mr. Byrd moved, Dr. Matthews seconded. It wasn't unanimous because I know I voted no to not to terminate it.
You think you did?
I know I did because I didn't think it was, because I was,
Oh.
so I of course did not think it was unproductive.
So it would have been three
Okay.
ayes,
So let's say
three
by a
ayes,
vote.
3 yeses.
Three.
Well, who all was there? I don't remember that.
Well,
either.
Mr. Anderson was not.
He was not?
So it'd be
So it was 3 to 1.
3 to 1.
Right. I voted no. There you go.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, and then we adjourn, respectfully submitted. Fix that, put your name under the
I would
signature.
like for us to always put who the recorder is.
Okay,
We
so you
generally
want to
do
put
so-
me on that?
so-
That's what it
do-
says.
Okay.
You already
Oh,
are.
I have that, okay.
But there's supposed to be 2 signatures, the recorder and the chair.
Yeah, but the
I think
recorder,
we're-
we don't have anymore.
What if he's the same person? I think I did that.
Well, then we need to say recorder and chair.
Okay.
'Cause but I think, or you can put it yourself twice, recorder Alex Sharp and chair Alex Sharp. Because we made it a long time ago, we said that every set of minutes should be signed by
I
the,
think recorder should be acting secretary.
or he could be acting
There
secretary.
you go.
Oh, but not record.
Well, recorder
Acting
Okay.
secretary.
is a legal.
So what are we up to now?
Okay, we're
September?
on to, no, August.
All right. Well, the problem, well, there's a couple things on August, but,
Well, there
let's
were
see,
2.
page, right,
there
well,
were
there
2.
really weren't, that, there's 2 sets of minutes and they need to be blended together. I
But
did
one
the,
thing, but the.
I did the part that's dragged or fat,
But I thought
that
that,
goes, that's to be plugged in here in the middle.
but I
When we
thought
get
that
to
they were
Harmony.
plugged in.
Well, they're not, because here they are,
Wow.
and it doesn't read, it's completely different, somebody wrote some completely different stuff. And so the part from agenda item Harmony Manor, to
This,
return to the chair, is all in my minutes.
no, I did not.
One.
I didn't do
And
this.
I don't think I was there.
I don't know who did these minutes, but they didn't plug in.
That's
In
why
other
we
words,
need
this
to
part needs to be plugged in, just put
Oh,
in.
yeah, because I was, okay.
But we've got the time,
I've got the time too.
no, on this one too, also. I thought
So
they were
what?
plugged in.
Well, I know, but I mean, that's what mine says too, 1/12/30, blah, blah, blah. The chairman, Mr. Sharp, and so forth, recused, and the zoning administrator recused themselves. So anyways, these minutes are fine, they just, but get rid of all this and plug this into here.
Can you email this to me?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
And I'll take your fat off too. Which is
So he's supposed
Yeah, I
to.
don't know.
the way dyslexic people spell draft.
We would have a lot
I
of
don't know
jokes.
how to do this one.
I don't either. Okay, so that's one issue. The next issue is up at the top of page, this is 3. We got some names spelled wrong. Marion Bragg is with an A on Marion, and Paige Glennie is Glennie, not the way it is here. Left out the I on that part. And then the next line that says chair, continuance of open, whatever.
Just one second, I wanted to,
That's-
there is, the excerpt is here in, that you're looking for. Excerpt of the main, that one is.
Yeah, well,
what she's
that's
looking
this,
for.
but I'm
Yeah,
saying.
Yeah, I just need it emailed.
But you have it. It's
Yeah,
right
but
here.
I need it in a Word document.
Right,
Yeah,
I'll
she
do
Oh,
doesn't want
oh,
it in
that's
a PDF.
I got you, okay.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
got you, okay.
All right, so we're back here to, we're right before that part where it says chair. I mean, that needs to be turned into a sentence. Like, the chairman announced that the public, what happened was, remember, this was the time that all these people showed up from Chester Gap, and I suggested that we let them talk and rather make
Wasn't
them
this
come all the
one?
way back, and because whoever it was wanted an extra time. So what happened was, the chairman announced that the public meeting was closed.
Continued until,
Continued until the next meeting.
announced that it was continued until the next meeting for the,
And-
we ought to say for the
And
Chester
then there was
Gap.
some question that I don't remember who asked it, or maybe I asked it, that you clarify, and announced that, because remember they were gonna put additional stuff, or they were gonna amend their
Their application.
application. So you announced that the interested parties or something like that could speak again at the next meeting.
So that's what should be in there.
Right. And that was, and then the matter was continued or something, and the matter was continued to the September, yes?
Well, there is a
Yeah,
September.
September, right. So it was continued to the September meeting, or whereupon the application was continued to September then. And then this thing needs to say, instead of it should say the next agenda item was Harmony Manor B and B. And then we'll plug in my stuff. Okay, great. Then on the next page, you've got I didn't understand what this meant. And then, let's see, 1, 2, it looks like third paragraph that starts, Mr. Byrd will take these concerns to the planning commission and work to develop a better plan. And then
The
it
flow
says-
process
Right.
of applications.
Right, and then it says the chairs need to have a conversation also.
So that's the chair of
This chair,
this chair,
yeah.
Alex
Yeah, with the
and
planning
Settle.
commission.
Why don't you put the chairman of the
BZA
BZA and the planning commission?
You should.
Because I read that and said, well, yeah, I think that is what it was supposed to mean. Okay, great.
So,
Um,
yeah, let's see. So chair of the BZA and the
Yeah,
chair of the
Smooth
planning
that
commission.
up. Minutes, then you've got minutes. Again, it should say the next order of business was approval of the minutes for April, May, and June.
Which we just redid.
Did we just do those again?
Yeah.
All right, good. I don't know what happened. Anyway. Da-da-da-da-da.
I don't know.
Oh, here you got a wrong word here. In that last line of that paragraph, you say the minutes will not be appended. It should be the dissenting opinion will not be appended.
That's why we need to have who the recorder is. Recording secretary.
That looks like it's almost.
This may have been pulled, a lot of it may have been pulled off of the, by Candy or somebody.
Oh,
I don't know who did it. I mean, we really don't need the times, but anyway, all were in agreement that he should do this. Guess what? I never did it. The minutes will not be, it should be not the minutes, but the dissenting opinion will not be attended until the BZA has a ruling.
Okay.
And whoever voted whatever, one nay, I know that was me, so that needs to be reflected of who voted which way. And that's why, I mean, I voted nay because I didn't append the dissenting opinion. All right, May meeting.
yeah, it says 2017.
That's
I'm sorry,
16, right?
16. No, we're in September, okay.
Okay, June,
August.
Ms. Matthews, second and four, ayes, one nay. Same thing, okay, great. And you should put the year in all those paragraphs. All right, now, chair recuses himself. I mean, there's no introductory paragraph here where it says chair recuses himself. The next item of business was about the violation of the sing, I don't know, the whatever. What do you want to call that? Discussion of the sing, remember they had not come back, of whether or not, I guess, a discussion of whether or not the sings had to come in for an to amend their original special use permit. Issued in 1982, right?
So probably this one was,
No, 80, no, it was after I left, it was 85.
this one
86.
has so many changes, we should probably review it next time,
Okay.
I would think.
Yeah.
Well, I'm almost done. So anyway, you need an introductory paragraph there. And then it's fine that Mrs. Matthews took the chair, not takes. It's all in the past tense. Da-da-da-da-da. The rest of it, I guess, is okay. There should be a reference to the code section that isn't floating around in here. But I'll try to get that to you.
Yeah, I did not.
I mean, there's an awful lot of stuff in here that it sort of degenerates
Disjointed,
It is
into,
disjointed.
yeah. Oh,
needs to be smoothed
I
up
just
here.
put that in, that's
All
why
these-
we always should have who takes the minutes.
Okay,
So,
well, let's take that excerpt and these minutes, and we'll just
Okay.
hopefully have a clean copy next time.
okay, great. What are we up to now?
I think we ought to take.
August,
Well,
September.
it's very quick, because we just have September and then May. We just
Yeah,
have
we've
two
got-
more.
People waiting.
Yeah, but we'll get it done. So.
Okay.
They were late.
Yeah, you'll be okay.
We're good.
This is fun.
It's
Okay.
interesting.
Good.
September 28th,
What? Yeah,
September
right.
28th.
16th.
Okay. I think that at about 17. Okay, the Coons, when you get down to there, it should be, there's some mention should be made that this was continued from the previous meeting, from the August meeting.
From the prior meeting.
And, and it's not issues that seem to be at play, it's he addressed 3 issues that were raised at the previous meeting, one of which was the road maintenance agreement. And the back taxes was the second one, and the width of the right-of-way, so great. The rest of it's okay. And he spelled Quan Lane correct there, but somewhere,
Quan.
2 N's.
Okay.
But somewhere I saw it and it was spelled wrong. Must have been at the previous, in August, it was spelled wrong. So then I didn't have really any other things until you get way down here to additional standards were also read and all those could be made. No. It should say something like the board reviewed the additional standards pursuant to section 170-62K, I want to say, K, whatever it is.
Okay.
You look it up, whatever applies to tourist homes. And they reviewed the standards and made the required findings. Except something, there's something kind of missing here.
I said, like, this is the 2 years, so like here, in this minute. we said
Oh, wait a minute, the
2.
additional standards, I'm sorry, the additional standards must be 170 dash, quick, 50 something.
You have
52 or 55, the general standards. It's not additional, it's general standards, is what that's supposed to be. And all those could be made. Those are the ones that apply across the board to every special use permit. Okay. Now see, here's something I know that you are checking on, Michelle. Every week it says no more than 4 rental transactions per month. Which, how you do that, I don't know, but
Yeah.
don't tell anybody because that's this kind of stuff that only zoning administrators are
So
supposed to know.
this is one.
If you're not- if you're not a
It's
zoning,
probably not done.
Um,
really.
yeah, oh, it's done,
The check.
So that would be
Oh, yeah.
see?
Until somebody.
So-
We're just not telling you how we do it.
Until
We
someone-
know.
Until someone.
We have monitors that we can't tell you about. But we zoning administrators know about this stuff. And finally, last but not least, on the last page, Mr. Connick submitted minutes to be reviewed. Well, that was that excerpt. And so it should say, the excerpt of the August minutes relating to the Harmony
August 24th.
Hollow appeal.
Harmony Manor.
Well, we said it.
Yeah.
That's what we call
That's
it.
what's good.
I don't know.
And that's
if it's in
okay.
the minutes.
So, it should be the excerpt of the minutes relating to whatever. Now, we're almost done, aren't we?
Okay, so we just have the one more May.
Where are they?
This,
Oh,
is this it?
yeah. Oh, we're up to this year, good.
Imagine.
Imagine. You want to do next year's minutes now?
I was not at that meeting.
I'm thinking that I think somebody else.
I could not have done this.
No, I know you were asking. But I'm saying somebody changed the format on
Lauren maybe did that.
it. Oh, okay. Does this seem accurate to you?
Yeah. Well, it doesn't have all the code sections and whatnot, but I mean, you know, that the
So,
notification is required, it should say after notification is required by the Freedom of Information Act. And also, I wrote a letter, it seems like to me, to the board about this, and it should reference that. Up here, about all
Well, what
this
is it gonna
notification business. There's a letter that was sent, I believe.
When did you weren't there at this?
She wasn't there.
I was in work.
And I think Debbie was still here doing it,
Yes.
Yeah,
or not doing it, as the case may be. You got next to last paragraph, you got a period after 7:15 instead of a colon, and you don't have a space between 7:15 and PM.
So then you ought to put in here recorder is Alex.
I'm pretty sure
And
that was
then-
me.
Recorder, and then he also was chair. And that's
Okay,
fine.
so with the minor changes on,
I just, wait a second, one thing that somehow, I wanted to reflect where I abstained in the Nevada Estes thing and also in all the other things. I want to make it clear that I abstained because I didn't feel the meeting had been properly
I thought
The
you
noticed.
said
application
that.
was approved on the vote of 3-0 with Mr. Connick abstaining.
Well,
added
we'll put it that I was abstaining for the reason,
I said you
because of
added-
the,
that if he could vote for the application,
Right.
he would support it.
right, but I didn't feel that I
Because
could.
of the FOIA.
And then
Oh,
the
because-
guy gave that opinion finally, and I said, well, what are you supposed to, remember, I said, what are you supposed to do if you think the meeting hasn't been properly noticed? Are you supposed to not go, or are you supposed to do what? And he never really gave me an answer, but I said, what, because I said, what if you get fined?
Oh, because you participated.
Because you participated in what you said was an illegal meeting, and remember, Gerhard said, well, I think if it's on the record that you're the one who brought up the question of whether it was legal, I don't think the judge would fine you. I think he'd take that into account. And I said, you obviously never lived in Rappahannock County. I said, I could see him saying, no, Connick, you knew it was an illegal meeting, and so I'm fining you and not them.
Okay, Okay, so if we just add Mr. Connick abstaining because of concerns about FOIA.
Right, right, about FOIA compliance or about lack of that.
So
Turned out to be correct.
I'm gonna suggest that we approve everything except for the August 24th.
Okay,
Does that
and
need to be
we'll redo
assembled?
those, okay.
And just bring it to the next meeting.
Okay, as amended, I'll second that.
I just made the motion, I
I
guess.
said I'll second
Okay,
it.
okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Let's never get behind in the minutes ever again.
okay.
I make a motion that we never get behind in the minutes.
Well, we never
ever
have to.
again.
We won't.
Oh, right, because I'm secretary.
Recording secretary.
Okay, so should we go ahead and do the public hearing on this application now?
Yes.
Because there's this thing, I don't know
What is which name?
I didn't,
Oh, the secretary?
I wasn't aware of that being on the agenda, but I
We
guess
can just skip over it.
skip over.
Discussion
Let's
of
go.
secretary? That
Yeah.
one? Yeah, let's skip that.
Okay, so we're gonna skip that
This
whole.
family of fun.
Okay, I mean, we're skipping it all together, right?
Yeah.
We're not coming
Yeah.
back to it.
Yeah.
Is that right?
You're the chair.
Okay, well, no, you're making the suggestion. Okay, the next item is special use 171009, and it's a family apartment. And who is here to represent the applicant?
My wife and myself.
I mean, you can both come up also.
We got the chairs up here.
Do we have
We,
to?
do we just sit right here?
Well, come on, I have to swear you in.
This is different from the planning commission.
Oh.
Oh, this is different.
What's it? You know, well, we'll have to talk. Okay, we may talk just
Just
that.
ask them if they're gonna lie.
Okay,
She's the boss.
well, you can stand up just for a second. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I
I do.
Thank you.
So
So,
now
if you-
pronounce your name. Oh, no, that's different.
Yeah, we already did that.
oh, yeah.
Well, if it's gonna be a family apartment, yes.
Okay, so you're looking to do a family apartment at 11 Cabin Lane, and you've given us a drawing of where,
The plat, potential location.
and it's within the 200 feet.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess if you'd like to tell us more, what,
Basically, my father has Parkinson's, and over the last year, it's gone really bad. It's progressed very steadily. And him and my stepmother do not have the financial means to live in a home, and I have, within an hour of us, for me to be able to help take care of my dad, because she can't do it all myself. My dad's not an overweight guy, but he's like 6'5", he's a big guy, so she can't handle everything on her own. I work from home part-time, so I need to be able to be my father's caregiver. So the best realistic thing is for us to build a small house for them to live in, so I can be there at all times to take care of him, and give her some relief, because she's basically been taking care of her, and she was taking care of her mother before we knew about it, so.
Right now, we've just kind of been shipping them around. They're homeless. They couldn't afford to keep their mortgage up in North Carolina.
oh,
So before everything got upside down and the market took advantage of a good market, got it sold, got a little bit of equity, kind of sent them down to Louisiana to visit her family for a while, and now they're out in Colorado Springs for Christmas. They'll come back in through Kentucky where he's from, and then we'll try to find something, you know, with a month-to-month lease, you know, while we
while
construct,
you're doing it.
construct a dwelling.
And it was 900 and some square feet?
988 will be the finished square footage.
Okay. And then the septic was gonna tie into the existing?
Into the existing, we're gonna give up the bedroom in the house, expand the master bedroom to take up that space of the bedroom, and Match came out and said, we'll find a tie-in. We cleared off some autumn olives that were on the original field, so she can check further down the road that we have the availability to put in another line
So
of
you have that,
distribution lines.
yeah.
If we have to. Well is substantially deep, it's a class 3 grout, so we can, you know, use a community well. We've got about 70 gallons per minute.
Wow,
I've been in the construction industry for 30 years, so I'll be the GC on the job. It'll be a slab unit, slab on grade, you know, panelization.
and there was a recent deed with the package? Am I reading that
We
correctly?
took his ex-wife off and.
Yeah, we took my,
Oh.
I went through the.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
We financed the property and did the,
Okay, I
plan
got you.
deed.
Yeah.
Okay,
That was
okay.
required by the
Did you
refund.
get a zoning permit for that?
For
Was
the
there a
deed?
permit for?
Getting a new wife?
No.
No? Okay.
They were actually paying me to get the new wife for my group.
Okay.
What's, in agricultural district, what's the setback? It's 60,
50 feet.
100 on the
it's
front
50
and
feet?
50 on the side.
Okay, all right, I just wanted to make sure. When I saw that, I've been keep reading 50, 60, 50, 100, depending.
We also had a new plot plan done because the old one was not very, just really didn't say anything.
This says 2017.
Yeah, we just had that done,
The
so
original
to
plan
make
didn't-
sure that everything was accurate with the
match.
house placement, everything was, we had Medj come out and double check everything, because we want everything to be 100% accurate. Especially also in order to have all our proper setbacks.
The property is very secluded, doesn't change the landscape, can't see anything from Route 211, will not be able to see the dwelling from the lane, the neighbors will not even be able to see the dwelling.
So that was the other question, because you've got, here you've got gravel driveway, and so does this, what serves the house as a,
Cabin lane comes up this
It's
way,
okay, and then-
the driveway comes straight up alongside here,
right here?
yep, and comes right here, and then it'll continue to the parking area, which will be right here.
So you're gonna extend the driveway to?
Yeah, we're gonna.
Yeah, because right now we have like a little parking area here, and so basically, we're just gonna extend our parking area.
Okay, well, I could see it on the color pictures that were on the, web, on our site. So then you'll extend that, so then that will serve here, and then,
Yes.
Yeah, there will not be a separate entrance to, off the lane, so
Yeah,
it'll be a continuation of the existing driveway.
also, because based on what you read, you're not allowed to have separate entrance, it has to
right,
continue.
that's
Yeah,
why I
it has to
wanted,
be off the existing
Huh?
driveway.
I'm gonna pull up a picture.
yeah.
And then there are two other family apartments on the lane as well,
On different lots.
on different lots, yeah. Parators have one, Patterson's have one.
Yeah, see,
Yeah, so that, because that's this lane.
Yeah, so that comes right up off the
Yeah, that's
lane,
cabin
keep
lane.
coming, and then see where the camper is?
Mhm.
That's
That's
a drive, I mean, like a parking area, and it's gonna keep continuing from right there.
Okay. So who else is off the cabin lane?
It would be the Nyes,
Okay.
and the Parators, and then there's a renter all the way back at the end.
Well, there's Tony, is it Tony?
Yeah, Tony the Mills,
Yeah,
um,
I think it's,
and then Glenn, who doesn't really come out much.
So this is on the north side of 211, right?
Yes, we're on the north side too, on the Normal side.
Past the winery.
Just
Yeah,
past
right.
the line.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's almost
Our
next to
property
the-
ties into, I bought the lot in 97, I think, 97 or 98 from Emil Smet. So,
So he's
and it
looking
ties
for-
into, Chris Parrish has a piece in between them. There's a 60-acre piece in between
That's
us
what's
and
up to
Normal.
Guess who signed the plan?
Oh, it's your signature on it? Well, not on this one. Oh, it is. Okay. Is it
So
any,
It must be legal.
I mean, I guess we've been asking,
Must be legal.
we've been asking questions.
Yeah, I just want, I couldn't remember, and I know I have it in my book, but just wanted to double check that.
Oh, Chris, did you have a report from the planning?
The planning commission entertained this, it wasn't last month, but the month before, and there was no particular,
So-
no questions.
it was November.
it was November meeting.
It was passed
So it wasn't
unanimously
last
quickly.
week, but the month
The
before.
month.
November, yeah.
Okay, okay.
I think last week was canceled,
Right.
okay, because we sat here for a while, so I'm like, wait, was there a meeting?
Everybody else did.
Their public hearing date was November 15th.
Right, because now they're staggering them, they're not doing them all in one.
So they're making sure that it's been recommended before
Well,
taking the
yeah,
next step?
Right,
Okay.
that's what we were reading in the minutes.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
finally got what
okay.
to do.
Okay, so just as a formality, I'm going to open the public hearing. Is there anybody who wants to speak? Okay, no, okay. I'm closing the public hearing.
Right.
Yeah, we closed it.
Mhm.
Do we See how,
Are we done with the questions, or can I go ahead?
oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that. Okay, yes, go ahead.
My questions are these, why did you decide to do a family apartment as opposed to put an addition on your house?
On the side where it is where the actual septic tank is. So to move the septic tank, we would risk losing the fall of the conveyance line to the septic, have to move it back. Then I had overhead power lines. So we figured the best avenue would be to do a separate dwelling.
And what's the long-range plan after your father-in-law's not there
Been in
anymore?
the county for almost 30 years. I'm not going anywhere. I've raised all 5 of my
So,
boys
I mean, are
here.
you gonna use this as a rental then?
I don't think so. If anything, with her business, and I do, I've got a company called Rappahannock Rod Company. I make custom fly rods. And I'll move into that and have a place to build rods so she don't have stuff on the dining table anymore. I don't want anybody
So it
living
might
with
not
me.
be a restaurant.
Yeah, I don't want anybody living with me. No, I'm trying to get rid of kids now. Dad's good enough.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? Do we want to hear a motion? And I know we should make the findings, but I'm thinking we can make the, move and make a motion that we make the findings. General and additional. Does someone want to do that? You'd be good at making a motion.
Making a motion to entertain, to
approve.
do the findings.
To make the findings.
Make-
Make the findings.
Required by, what's that?
Can we fill that in later?
The general standards is 170-52.
See, right. And also the
The
other
additional
ones
standards.
that are required by,
Is,
not on here.
Should be,
All right, wait a minute.
I don't know why it's not marked, because as much as we do that,
the planning commission didn't, you have the planning commission sheet? Their motion? Did they reference that? No.
170-62G,
Is that the
and
additional?
170-36C.
Norman Times, what?
Oh, 63.
G, for family apartments. Well, the only ones are there, you have to address those, about the square footage, and it's gonna be within 200 feet of the main house,
Like
right?
Right.
160.
I have to say driveway.
Now, you know that you can't rent it to anybody but a family member.
I
Correct.
have no plans out of it.
Okay.
That's for a period.
Well, so you don't have to make any findings, just the general ones. and
It's for a period of 2 years
2
from what I
years.
read, but I still
Right.
don't want
Still
people.
don't plan on it.
Okay.
That's valid.
All right, so that's your motion, to make the
finding.
findings required by 170-52 and 162G1, right?
G, yeah,
That
G1.
was his motion.
G1.
That's good.
That was the motion.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, is there any further discussion?
I want to say something, and that's why I'm not seconding it, because I really have a concern about these things that I've expressed before. And don't let this flash on you, because it's not your fault, you're just the applicants, and this is a legal lot, and it's a use that's permitted by the zoning ordinance, but I have to say that since this lot was approved, the county adopted changes to the zoning ordinance. In an agriculture district, the density requirement's now 1 dwelling unit per 25 acres. It's supposed to be. And that was adopted after this was already approved. But I think we've got an issue, and I don't know how we resolve it. I think we ought to take it up to the planning commission or send it over there and let them discuss it. But with this and certain other family apartments on lots that are less than 25 acres in the agriculture zone, and what I heard here and at the planning commission, there were 5 5-acre lots made here. And this will make 3 of them now have a main dwelling and a secondary dwelling as a family apartment. So that means that those 5 lots of 20, the total 25 acres, there's gonna be a total of 8 dwelling units now. And, I mean, they're within their rights to apply for it. I mean, I think it meets all the standards, but I think it's an issue that we should address to the Planning Commission, the Board of Supervisors, that, you know, it basically is undermining the integrity of the overall plan in the comprehensive plan and the zoning ordinance by either not having a minimum lot size to have a family apartment in the ag zone, or not having other requirements, that it's this 2-year rule. I mean, I get the impression, that's why I asked the question, these people are not doing it to circumvent the ordinance, but you can see how easily somebody could build a family apartment. Somebody lives there, and many, many times this is the kind of application we get where it's somebody's mother or father and they're elderly and they want to take care of them, and you know, the zone is supposed to be about the land, not about the people particular people that live there. It's supposed to be about the land use plan of the county. And so what happens is then you have all these things that were approved as family apartments, and then they turn into rental units, and they're really not, I mean, if they came in and said we want to build a rental unit, the answer would be you can't do that. So it's a way around it for some people, and I just think I wanted to point that out and see if the
Well, I have a thought on that. Just, I mean, okay, so the initial intent, I think, is so that a family member can live on the premises.
right?
And I do think that as it's written now, certainly it's not so much the density, it's each parcel or each house could have an accessory use.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know that as it's written now, the density is critical to whether it should or should not be approved. But I think that you bring up a good point, and the point could be that it cannot be rented to anyone other than a family member, or could it be used as a guest house that's not ever rented?
Well,
I mean, maybe that would be.
I mean, if it's all in the same immediate family, I mean, that's the definition of
Yeah.
a dwelling unit in the ordinance.
Yeah.
It's all,
So it could be.
so
spread
as
out.
long as, and that's the theory why it's allowed, because it's all one
Right.
immediate family is living there. And they're just in 2 different buildings. And I guess that's okay. I mean, I don't think that really violates, but there's number one, you got a problem. And again, I'm not talking about you specifically, I'm just talking in general. You got a problem, how does the zoning administrator enforce this after the 2 years are up? Or even during the 2 years? Do you go out there and see who's living? And I really don't think we have checked on it or policed it at all, but you know, things are changing, and Rappahannock unfortunately is changing, and we've had some of that before the board, and some of it came up tonight in some of those minutes of people who are taking advantage of, I guess, loopholes. And I think we need to recommend that this is something the Planning Commission ought to take a look at and think about more carefully than it did, you know, 30 or 40 years ago when this was first put in the ordinance, when things were kind of different. So anyway, with that said, this particular application.
But you probably would vote for this one just.
Yeah, I'm going to
because-
vote for
okay.
it, but I just wanted to express those concerns and hope.
Okay.
May I make a suggestion?
Sure.
I grew up in, my family came from Pennsylvania, and down in Williamsburg, we had historic property that we sold to a builder, and the same thing happened. Because I'm with you 100%, I want to take care of my family, but what upsets me is when people do it, and then, you know, you hear that they're getting $1,500 a month rent.
Right.
What some counties and some municipalities did in James City is they capped that. They
Capped
made
what?
it, like,
How,
made it unattractive for people to want to circumvent the ordinance.
how do you do that?
They cap the monthly, if you, minimum, like you said, for the family to live in.
Yeah.
If a family is not occupied and the building is being used for another purpose, it can't produce X amount of dollars per month.
How do you know that they're doing it?
Because they should be doing
They
the
should be
taxes.
doing a check,
I
and
mean,
they're gonna have you know, if somebody's living there, it's not a family member, they're gonna have a county sticker, a register. They're gonna have to register their vehicle with the county so you know who's up there. And and all of a sudden, it kind of really stopped slowing down because it was historic land, it was Jamestown, it was Williamsburg. So and I went down there and worked in the industry for about 7 years on the one community that was my family's property, and it put a halt to it real quick. real quick.
Sounds like a great idea, but I don't know how that could be legal. I don't know how the Board of Zoning Appeals could put a cap.
Yeah, I don't
Would
know.
have to, it'd
that.
have to go through the
It'd have to be in the
supervisor.
state law, and I don't see how that, there's nothing in there that
You
that
mean
would
you can
allow,
rent
that would
it?
allow any zoning ordinance to cap what you could get in rent for something. So maybe they just
Or if a
didn't.
family member wasn't living there, maybe you would have to come back with your special use permit and require somebody to have like an Airbnb.
No, we don't want to go.
No, you don't want to do that either.
Do not go.
In my opinion.
Yeah, that's
I grew up in Western Loudon, so I love Rappahannock because it reminds me of somewhat small town. When I grew up in Hamilton, in Percival, there was one light. And watching what Leesburg and Percival and Western Loudon, what's happened to it, I hate it. I hate the fact that places where I used to four-wheel and do things on and had cow fields, it's gone. It's all gone. Everything I ever grew up, I don't even know it anymore. So for me, just living and growing up in that area, I hate what's happened to it. So that's like the last thing, and I don't agree with circumventing anything, and I know there's people that take advantage of it, and there's no way to stop it. There's always gonna be those people, and then there's gonna be people like us that are doing it honestly. So I do understand what you're saying, 100%, and trust me, we looked at the addition part of it, and it's just not even about, how do you take an addition and add it onto your house, and then we had to think, because we're gonna lose some market value because we're giving up a room. Like, we had to say, we're gonna lose market value because of that, but is it better?
Or you could add to your septic.
We hope, but we've talked to Medj about it, and there's give and take in that too, so we don't know, but, so we're risking a lot, but the addition, I don't want to take away my dad has, what he does have, and also my stepmom does have life left, like, I don't wanna, they've gotta have some independence, and putting in a small kitchen, and she's not gonna be able to sleep with my dad much longer, soon he's gonna have to be in a hospital bed, to keep him from falling out, and she can't sleep with him because of his stuff.
Document of the floor plan?
She has it.
Yeah, I think, that was.
Yeah, that's
So,
why we did
we-
everything.
yeah,
12
so
by
we
12,
did-
12 by 12, 12 by 12 study, and then kitchen, great room, everything wide open, every doorway, 36 inches, handicap accessible. Like I said, the only thing we may change is the buddy of mine that owns a concrete company. A lot of my friends in the industry are pitching in and charging almost nothing or nothing for the project to help us out, because we're doing it all cash. We don't want to borrow any money, we don't want any we don't want any burden on them or any burden on us, so we may just change the slab and do a complete drop-in shower in the slab, so you can go right in the wheelchair, curbless shower before we make it.
Because he's gonna be in a wheelchair with probably in the next 6 months, so, but in addition, just didn't allow for them to have some type of
Yeah,
freedom, and I don't wanna take everything, I mean, already my dad's lost so much, I don't,
yeah.
I guess a golf cart.
Well, why don't we go ahead and
All right.
a vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so you're fine.
Thank you.
thank you
Okay,
very much,
good
appreciate
luck.
it.
Interesting conversation. Usually we don't, not so informal, but today is.
Yeah, I understand exactly what you're talking about. I've been here for almost 30 years. My last one of 5 is gonna graduate this year. I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Congratulations.
I know, I'm gonna be, it's gonna be the first time in 20-some years I don't have to go to school.
Hmm.
No drama, no wrestling, no football, no nothing. I'm like, what am I gonna do?
You could become a coach.
You could have
No,
more kids.
I
You could have more
did
kids.
that for 10 years, I'm done. I'm just a
Yeah.
dad now.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
have more kids?
No.
No, I'm good, thanks.
Maybe an RV. There's an RV in the future, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you
All right,
all
good
very
luck.
much. Appreciate it. Apologize for not being on time.
It's all right,
No,
it
but
worked
we-
out fine, you didn't have to sit through
We
that
used
whole.
our
Yeah.
time wisely.
It's all
Okay,
good.
well,
So we're gonna do the secretary business or?
I thought we skipped it. Is there anything?
Y'all have a good new year.
You too.
Happy New
Yeah,
Year.
tell you
Thank
what,
you.
the next meeting is an organizational meeting.
Right.
So I wonder if that would be the time to figure that out.
Which one?
The secretary.
Yeah, well, why would we leave it the way it is? I mean,
I don't think we're looking to get rid of you.
tried to get out of it by running for supervisor, but that didn't work.
Yeah, well, you all, you did pretty well, that's amazing.
I move that the meeting be adjourned.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Happy New Year, y'all.
Thank you.
And you too, Luke.